Thank you so much for having me on the show. I so appreciate it. So what it is, it's an instrumental accommodation for visual dyslexics. I'm trying to solve the problem of creating a gap between neurodiverse learners and neurotypical learners, and basically give them the same access to text that a neurotypical learner would have.
Today, we are thrilled to welcome a true innovator, someone who turned a profound personal struggle into a breakthrough solution for readers everywhere. Our guest is Hillary Summerbell, the inventor and founder of the Summerbell Reading Method. Please join me in welcoming Hillary Summerbell.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I so appreciate it.
No worries. I'm excited. I couldn't wait to speak with you. Let's just jump into it, right?
Okay,
Listeners who are new to you and to Summerbell, what is it and what problem are you trying to solve?
So what it is, it's an instrumental accommodation for visual dyslexics. I'm trying to solve the problem of creating a gap between neurodiverse learners and neurotypical learners, and basically give them the same access to text that a neurotypical learner would have.
Okay. Absolutely. You mentioned visual dyslexic. That's what you mentioned just now. So can you describe what reading was like for you before your discovery?
Reading for me was absolutely frustrating. It made me feel like something was wrong with me. I was always kind of in the slow learners class. But basically what I imagined, or not what I imagined, but what I felt when I was trying to read was, you read a sentence and you're struggling because you're not exactly quite sure how to do it all. But when you come upon a word that you don't understand, you can't decode it, because I never learned how to read phonetically, because those parts of my brain just somehow don't work very well. So when I was trying to read, and I would read a sentence or a paragraph, and I was constantly pivoting back and forth, rereading, trying to decode words. And it almost became something like, when you're like the CIA has those documents where you, like, if you can't read a word, they just take a black magic marker. So that's really what happened to me, is like when I couldn't read a word or understand anything, I would just erase it from my mind. I just would put a black marker over it. And then, because like maybe it might have been 2 words out of the sentence, I didn't understand the sentence at all. So I never could comprehend, because I never could really absorb the text. So what Summerbell does is we use something called graphic organization, which some educator told me that went to Harvard. And so that I use graphic organization to solve my own reading problem.
Okay. And with that graphic organization, is that how you developed the positional reading arc?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And it was crazy. Okay. I mean, so by trade, I'm an interior designer. I have an associate's degree of fine arts, which did not require me reading. It was really just studio arts, understanding color and dimensional space as an interior designer. And so my training I was always really good at interior, 3D spaces, right? Like there's a lot of dyslexics who are architects, innovative thinkers. And so I decided that the only way I could support myself was to go into art and design, because I really didn't have to read, right? It was all visual. And so, I'm sorry, can you go back to the question? I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, with that graphic organization, and you developed the positional reading arc. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the positional reading arc?
Sure. Yeah. So basically what happens as a designer, you draw everything, right? So, back in the day when I got my degree in 1982, you draw everything. You draft, you sketch. And then when I was working with all my clients, I was constantly drawing pictures of their room and just figuring out. I learned that if I draw my problem, then I can process it better, right? Because I'm not reading, I'm just drawing it. So the positional arc came about when I was incredibly frustrated. I realized that I needed to figure out a way to read, because here I was 56 years old and still completely dependent on others to run my interior design studio. So it's in the video, the discovery video, but I put all of my clients in a circle. And then I was like, wow, that's so much easier. And then I realized that I could read in a spiral. And that was amazing. And then I just started drawing all these diagrams of these, like almost like a sphere or an arc, or it was not linear. It was everything but linear. And that is how it was probably over 50 drawings that made me really connect into what I was trying to figure out. And during this time, I was reading and I noticed that I was slowing down when I was trying to read, because I was writing things in the arc, like handwriting them. It wasn't digital in the very beginning. And when I read in the arc, I didn't like rush down the line. I didn't skip over words. I took my time, and it was kind of fun and it was relaxing. But the reality was I understood what I read. That was what blew my mind, is I had a better level of comprehension. And it was instant, like literally it was just completely instant. And then when it came to decoding a word that I couldn't decode, right, because I didn't learn how to read phonetically, I would chunk the word vertically instead of linearly, right? And I would even chunk the word in an arc. So, it would be like community. Like, so it would be this way. And it was much easier for me to absorb the syllables, I guess you would say. So I could even have a chance to pronounce. Like, see, you can even tell how I'm speaking. Now that I've learned to read via Summerbell, I have a better understanding. Like I pronounce words better. My spelling has increased. What really blew my mind is my handwriting increased. That was, wow. When I saw I'm sorry, not my handwriting increased, my handwriting changed.
Right.
It became much more legible as I gained more confidence. And when that happened, I was like, oh my God, like something is really weird going on. Not only can I decode words, read with greater comprehension, but why is my handwriting changing? Like that blew my mind, because I knew then it started to make me think that it had really something to do with what was going on in my mind and how I was processing words.
Wow. I can tell you, just hearing you, so much of what you said resonates with what I see with these students that I work with as a special education teacher. I have so many students that struggle with comprehension. However, when I give them a task and I say, hey, I want you to tell me what you heard auditorily or what you saw visually and create a story, like through art and design, something like that. They're able to do that. So when you talked about that sphere or drawing it in an arc, it made me relate it or resonated with my students.
Yeah.
How can educators use the positional reading arc strategy in a classroom setting?
Okay, well, that's the really cool part. And that's what I've been working on over all these years. When I figured it out, I was like, oh my God, like I hired a software engineer who created the original Chrome extension, which is actually on the Chrome web store right now. And that is actually, the Chrome extension is probably the most accessible tool in the classroom, right? Because all the kids use Chromebooks. right?
Yep.
So we did it for the teachers first, right? And so the Chrome extension was actually the tool that we used when Johns Hopkins University did an evaluation of Summerbell in the East Stroudsburg School District in Pennsylvania. And so that's one tool. We also have another tool we have like a set of tools. We have the writer, so you can type in positional arc reading. And we have the reader. You can cut and paste. The Chrome extension which is live on the web, like any website in the whole world that is text-based, you can convert into Summerbell. So if your kid is reading about George Washington and you go to Wikipedia, look up George Washington on the Chrome extension, you can read about George Washington in the preferred, in positional arc reading, if the child prefers that over linear. Then we created a browser, which is our newest software development, which is amazing because the browser, you literally don't have to cut and paste, right? So you can go into our browser that you can buy on the App Store, and you can read about anything that you want in the whole world in any language besides like Hebrew, because it's reversed, and you can read in Summerbell. So that's the technology there is amazing. And then recently we discovered really that Summerbell is accessible with AI. So that's incredible because you can create reading sessions for your learners. So for example, if you have a fourth grader who wants to read about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, you can create a reading session technically on AI. You can say, please create a 20-minute reading session in approximately a fourth grade reading level. And then AI will generate a story. And so that's really interesting because that's super creative, and the reader, the user, can really read in Summerbell on any subject that they want. So those are our tools. And we have in our website, we have a user manual for the teachers. So because it works with spelling, vocabulary. So we've tried to become very accommodating to the teachers and make it very easy for them to use this tool. So that's what we've done. And I decided to go the technology route because really that's what's happening. That's the future of everything right now. So, but we can also do it in hard copy too. You can print out and read in hard copy.
Absolutely, man. It's like it's like you're reading my show notes or something. Because that was my next question. I was going to say the technology infusion is lovely and wonderful, and like you said, we are trending that way. We are going that way technologically. My question was about the hard copy and print, because teachers do still experience some students that for whatever reason, looking at a screen, they can only tolerate that in limited levels. And so my question was specifically about the printout and hard copy.
Yeah.
And so Summerbell does accommodate that as well.
Yeah. So in our new website that's actually dropping, I think today or tomorrow, we have actually created we call them reading sample sets, and we try not to put the grades in, right? Because I don't want to hurt anybody's self-esteem. But we have reading sample sets that, like, if you're trying to diagnose whether a kid likes Summerbell, right? You can, as a teacher or a parent, you can identify we meet you where you are, right? So they can identify the comfort of their reading level, no matter what it is. And the way that we've organized it, we have, let's say it's 2 sentences in linear, and then below it, we have 2 sentences in Summerbell in positional arc. And so you can actually print that, give it to the student, and then the student would just immediately have a preference. Do they prefer to read linear, or do they prefer to read in Summerbell? And then if you have that information, then you know either you're on the right track with helping them with positional arc reading in Summerbell or not. Right. So the hard copy is a fundamental way of having somebody experience Summerbell, because I, in a very kind of like non-threatening, non-digital way, I like it. And when I show it to others, if I go into a classroom, which I did the other day, I just printed out like 12 pieces of paper in Summerbell, and I just in the custom, like in the arc that I prefer, and I gave it to the students, and it's amazing because they're like, if they love it, their like eyes go, whoa, I have never seen this before. And then right. 9 out of 10 times, the comment is, wow, this is easier. And then that's it.
Man, you love to hear that. You love to hear that.
Oh my God. I'm like, yes.
For sure.
Especially when the teachers are in the rooms, listening. So then it goes beyond my experience. It goes to the students. And then now, we have data.
Right. Absolutely. You mentioned briefly earlier about, I believe, Johns Hopkins University and a study or something. So I kind of want to go more into that vein. Has there been any other academic research or classroom testing that has been done to validate the efficacy of this positional reading arc? And if so, can you kind of tell us about that?
Yeah. So when you go to the website, you'll see in the very, very beginning, I reached out to 4 special ed teachers in the, Washington, Bethesda, DC area. And they did anecdotal testing in some of the schools. I know they did it at the McLean School, Potomac, so the teachers independently exposed it to their, with permission of the headmaster, their permission to expose Summerbell to them. So, and we got positive results, and then we now are engaged in conversations with a school district in New Jersey, 2 school districts in New Jersey, a nonprofit in California, and then maybe one here in Delaware. So what I've experienced is special educators are very interested because they've never seen it before. And it's showing promise, it's showing positive results. And so it's cool. And it's very accessible. It's very affordable. You don't need to train the teachers because it's not a reading. I called it in the beginning, I called it a reading method, right? Because I thought it was kind of like a method. But Hopkins corrected me and said that it's a reading it's an instrumental accommodation, right? Because I'm not asking the teachers to teach the kids. We're not saying teach them to read a different way. We are just simply reformatting the text so the visual dyslexic has an ease of reading. That's it. Absolutely. We're reformatting the text. It's all visual.
And, I need to correct my title because even in the introduction, I said reading method. And so I like that instrumental accommodation.
Accommodation. Like yeah. Because I don't really know that much about, I didn't like school, obviously. So, the bottom line is you get down to the bottom line. We just reformatted linear text into a radius that can be customized by the reader. You can have it, you can have it strong, you can have it light, you can space it out. So the way that we created the software with the 4 teachers, I created the software with the teachers. And so we made it so every child can adjust it to what they feel comfortable. It's almost like it's literally like putting on glasses. You know how you're the eye doctor and, they give you different things and all of a sudden you can see? Absolutely, it's like that. Yeah. So the users are able to make it for them and not try to accommodate to a linear world. Basically what we're doing is and that's one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about Summerbell is I've always tried to accommodate to a linear world, right? Like 20% are neurodiverse, 80% are, neurotypical. And so I've spent my life running after the 80%, trying to be part of that 80%. They're trying to teach me to be the 80%. But what Summerbell is we're not trying to remediate anything. That's the beautiful thing. We love you. We accept you the way you are. And we don't think anything is wrong with you. We just think that it's our responsibility as educators to meet you where you are. And if you like text in a radius, then rock on. Like, here we go. Like, enjoy, instead of us constantly pressuring a neurodiverse student to be something that they're not. So it's amazing. That's what it's all about, is coming to where they are, right? Absolutely. As a special ed teacher, right? That's your job. Right?
I mean, that's it. Meeting students where they are. Is there with that being said, because you've talked about the ease of implementation of Summerbell and the positional reading arc, is there a certain age range or grade level, or can kindergartners use this all the way up to, who can use this?
But 1 to 100.
1 to 100. Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Okay. 1 to 100. And we were, or 5 to 100. I think we put it 5 to 100, that's the thing about that I want to point out on the browser, because we have access to the whole internet, the whole worldwide internet. It says 15, age 15 plus. It's only because of the security, but the long and shorter is it's for the emerging reader, like the second grader, right? The first, second grader.
Right.
It is, if they like positional arc reading, if they like reading in Summerbell, then you save years, because all you have to do as an educator is reformat it, and they will hopefully never be the kid that falls behind. And if they do fall behind, I learned to read at 56 years old, 54, 55 years old. I taught myself how to read. So, whether it's 5 years old, 55 years old, 75 years old, it doesn't matter. It's like putting on glasses.
Right. No, I completely hear you. So,
you get it? You get it?
I get it. I get it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. And I'm going to find a way to implement this in my classroom, or at least try it, especially since you said that through the, Chrome extension you can do. I'm going to go look in the App Store and all that stuff and see what I can do myself, because I'm very intrigued. So we talked about the study, and you talked about how, the teachers kind of, tested it out a little bit and all that. Can you speak to the measurable differences, in fluency and comprehension that you've seen in students that use the ARC versus when they don't use the ARC? Are there any studies that reference that at this point in time?
Yes. Okay. So this is a very tricky subject. And so because Johns Hopkins University for Research and Reform Technology in the Classroom from K through 12 they submitted a 35-page evaluation with all the statistics and all the data and all of they could probably answer every question that you have. So in our website, what we've done is so there's a link to the evaluation in the Hopkins database and in my website. And then there's also a link you can listen to it auditorily, because it is 35 pages. But when we talk about like graphs and different things that you're probably asking about, it is 100% there. But because Hopkins is a research university, and you can appreciate this, they are not biased in any way. And what I can say to you is, and I can encourage you to go to to read the study. Basically, that's all I can say, because they are research and I'm not allowed to take experts or whatever different pieces out of it. But what I can tell you, what I do know is I can speak from my experience, and, and if you listen to the videos of the teachers testifying to their experience, comprehension, fluency, all of, that is, understanding the overall feeling of what the sentences say. And I can, testify to spelling. My spelling increased, honestly, 90%. I went, because I can see it. And then once you, if you can, it's just weird. It's like, I can see the words now, instead of me thinking the words, I hate words. now I'm curious about them. I'm curious, like, oh, what does that say? Like the word epiphany, right? Epiphany. Like I remember trying to read that word only a few years ago, and I had never seen it, right? Because a lot of dyslexics, they memorized what the word looks like. In my website, there's a video called Hillary Story, the discovery video. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that, but I would encourage any of your listeners and you to read it or to listen to it, because it explains how it happened, why it happened. And I'm trying to spell the word epiphany that I've never seen. I'm trying to read the word epiphany. I've never seen it before. And I was able to sound it out. And then I'm like, epiphany. And then I'm like, epiphany. Oh, that's a word that I know. I've never seen it written, but I think I've heard it. So I was able to use my brain to see it without being frustrated. Like I was curious. It made me curious. And then in the video, I'm trying to spell the word canon, and it's cuckoo. I'm throwing out C's, A's, O-N's. I have no idea how to spell the word. I just know there's like a C, an O, and N. I mean, it's ridiculous. So
I want to pivot to more about you as a person, because my audience likes to connect with people. I mean, we got to find that connection, right? And you've already connected. I know they're going to connect with you just based off of what you shared so far, but I want to dig a little deeper. So can you just tell us about your educational journey? I know you shared a little bit about the inspiration, Summerbell and the Positional Reading Arc and all that, but I want to know more about your personal educational journey.
Okay. Do you want a little bit of detail? Okay, I'll just give it. I'll kind of. You don't care, like what?
I want as much as you're willing to share.
Okay, because you can edit out whatever you want to hear. Yeah. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version, but I will talk about it. So I grew up, and I tell you where I grew up because I think it's important. Because I lived, let's say, 3 miles from the CIA. That's a good, so I grew up in McLean, Virginia, which is a part of the Fairfax County School District, right? So Fairfax County School, East Coast, from what I understand, is supposed to be a very good school district, right? So here I am I'm in, second grade at the elementary school, Churchill Road Elementary. And I'm struggling, and, it starts in second grade, and it's like, second grade, third grade, like, okay, give her some time, see if she can figure it out. I think it was I think in the third grade, they started separating me from all my friends. I was definitely in like the slow learners group, and Mrs. Badonis was her name. And you could tell, and everybody in the way that you get graded, or you get tested, or you get whatever you do. And I just couldn't keep up. Like I literally just couldn't keep up. So that was the beginning of the pain and the low self-esteem. Like, what? Like, I don't understand. Like, it was like I was almost blind in some ways, right? Like, if they talk to me, I'm good. But so here I am in elementary school, and it just gets worse. It's just boom, boom, boom. And it's just, the grades come in, or, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever it is. And it's just, I'm just always at the, at the lower end of everything. And so then you go to junior high school. I went to Cooper, and it just gets even worse, because all they're doing is trying to force me to read in a linear way and putting me in the slow learners class. And I wasn't able to do foreign language. I wasn't good in math. I couldn't, like, all of these, I just started slipping more and more behind, right? But kind of quiet. And then my parents would just try to give me tutors or whatever, or, special help or whatever. But it really didn't really help that much. Because I might have had a tutor for like an hour, but I was in school for, supposed to be reading, 12 hours a week, and I only was tutored for one. And so anyway, it just got worse. So I basically went from, I don't know, C minuses, I didn't cause trouble. They put me in the back of the class. I got in the slow classes. They excused me from foreign language. I didn't have to take like fancy math classes, geometry. I think I got through Algebra 1, Part 1 by when I graduated from high school, like no foreign language. It just was basically, I went through the motions of being in school, but I wasn't taught differently, is really kind of what happened. And then it kind of all came to a height my junior year in high school, because I was basically, junior year in high school, Fairfax County School, Langley High School, you're supposed to be reading books, you're supposed to be doing things. I couldn't do it. So I would always get maybe I'd get an F, but I would try to show up to the classes not to get an F. And so you can pass with a D.
Right.
So they would just keep passing me along. And then my junior year, it got to the point where I was cutting school. And then that's when you get into this whole dropout thing, right? Where like dyslexic or neurodiverse people drop out of school. Yeah. So it got to the point where I'm like, it just was completely, it's like the big F, everybody else has X, Y, and Z. Everybody knows your grades. I just told my mom I couldn't go back. I just said and I was, at that point, I was just avoiding it. Like, I just wouldn't go to class sometimes, and I still have dreams about never graduating from high school and not being able to, like now at 62, now I still have dreams about that. So it was fundamentally rocked my self-esteem. And then my mom, there was a school in Chevy Chase Circle called Somerset, and Somerset was a school that was founded in England. And it's 11 3-week sessions. It's auditory for the most part. And there was only like 7 kids in the class, right? One teacher, 7 kids. So they taught me auditorily. And then I went from like a D, F student to like an AB student.
Man, that's
because
awesome.
They took reading away. They taught me and they would test me, but they would test me verbally. And so they just took away the problem of what I couldn't do. So they actually met me where I was. And then from there, I got my self-esteem back because I'm like, oh, okay, like at least I got something to work with. At least I'm not going to be dropping out of high school. And I lost a year. I think I kind of lost a year of credits along the way, probably my junior year. And then I went to Marshall Adult Center in Tyson's Corner, and I went to school to get my last couple classes so I could graduate. And then so I actually got my high school degree from Marshall High School in McLean, Virginia, not Langley, because I basically dropped out at Langley. And then what happened next is my mom hired a college placement advisor to try to get me into a college because my SATs were like ridiculous. My GPA was horrible. My SATs were horrible. I kind of had an uplift when I was at Summerbell. So I think my mom paid somebody a fee, and I went to Beloit College in Wisconsin, which is a private liberal arts college that was probably expensive. And I went there, right? For 1 year, I was on and it was ridiculous because it wasn't an art school. It was a reading school. And I remember one time there was something about sociology and social milieu or whatever. The professor, I tried to read the book. I tried to write a paper. He brought me in there and he's like, you completely missed it all. Like, what you said doesn't make any sense. Like, did you even read this? Because whatever you jumbled, paper that you sent me, which was filled with all sorts of problems and grammar and everything else, because you really don't learn how to write very well either. He was like, what is going on with you? And so he sent me again. He was like, he gave me an F, a D, and he's like, you don't belong here. And I was on academic probation, after the first quarter. And then I don't know what I went back. I finished the year, but then I basically got kicked out, you know. And so then what I did is I went to Nova, so Northern Virginia Community College, and I went there because it was kind of like the local community college, and my mom really wanted me to have some education besides high school. And I took Reading 101, like literally, it could have been like reading for fifth graders, you know, and Math 101, like math for fifth graders. And I said, what is wrong with me? You know, like, why can't I do this? I have to fix it. What is wrong with me? We have to fix this. And I went into these classrooms and I met with this guy named Dr. Conroy. Or actually, I asked for a meeting with my English teacher, Dr. Conroy, who happened to be like a minister or something. He was something like that. And I remember sitting in the trailer, and I don't even know how old I am. I'm maybe 21, something like that. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I do your freaking class? Like, you know, and he said, well, what can you do? And I said, I can see things. Like I can see spaces. I have like the prettiest room in my house. Like I can visualize things. I can visualize spaces. And he said, well, in Loudoun County, they have an interior design associate's degree available. So you could get that. And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. So I trotted off to Loudoun County, and the first class was color theory. I'm learning about furniture styles. I'm drafting. I'm creating spaces. I'm in an art studio. I'm like, oh my God, thank you, God. And then I think I graduated cum laude or something. I had all A's. And I got an interior design degree in associates. You know, I don't even have a bachelor's. I couldn't even pass and when you're an interior designer, you're supposed to pass a test called ASID back in the 80s. I couldn't take the test. I couldn't pass the test. And I got an interior design degree and started working in design. And I've completely walked away from words. I walked away from words, and I only focused on drawing. And then if you listen to the video, you'll see I figured out that I couldn't even work at Rite Aid or CVS because I couldn't count change.
Right.
So I basically realized that I was going to get fired from any job that I worked at because of literally my mistakes. I mean, I sound like it's exactly what I said in the thing. I was like, I couldn't keep a job, even, like counting change back in the day before they did it. And, and I couldn't read. Anyway, I worked for a couple designers. I never sent an email. I just only did design. And then I opened up my own studio, and I had a deal with one of the designers that I worked for. I said, I don't write emails. I don't do estimates. I can't ring a candlestick. I can't work a cash register, but I can see things and I can communicate my vision to the clients. And so I said, I can work for you as long as you do all the paper and I just do this. I just use my creativity. So then, and then she transitioned out of the business, and then I opened up my own studio. And at one point, I think I had 8 to 10 employees.
Wow.
I've owned my own studio for almost 20 years. I have never rung a sale. I have never, entered anything in QuickBooks. Back in the day when I had this huge crew, I never did an email. I mean, I don't do it. Right. And I would have to hire people to do it for me, right. Do everything. And so then that's when it happened. It happened in 2019 when and I realized that I was going to lose my business if I couldn't teach myself how to read because I was too dependent on others. And now here we are 5 years later, I've 95% transitioned out of my design career. I still don't ring a sale, even if I have an assistant who helps create the estimates, do the emails. And now I'm 95% focused on Summerbell and bringing Summerbell into the light. And I've pretty much given up my design career to build. At 62, decided to completely pivot.
Wow, man, that is
rock on, huh? We gotta help these kids.
That is fantastic.
We gotta help these kids.
Hey, And I loved every moment of that. I loved every moment. You talked about how you weren't accommodated, how inclusion doesn't seem like was even a thing. Accessibility wasn't a thing, how it destroyed your confidence. But I also hear within that the perseverance to keep going. You know what I'm saying? And what you probably don't know, or what you probably do know, what you've probably been able to put together now is, I think the inklings of Summerbell were actually, or the seed of Summerbell was actually planted during your moments of struggle way back then, you know? And so I hope to see you at some education conferences, giving your story and talking about the benefit and the power of Summerbell. I hope to see you making a huger impact than what you already are in the educational space. As we wrap up here for the audience, and for anyone that wants to contact you or know more about your product, or maybe even develop a partnership or roll it out with their schools.
Yeah.
How can they get in contact with you, and what do they need to do?
Okay. So let me just say this first of all, and it's Summerbell. It's a gift. I mean, I'm going to go as far as saying it's sacred geometry. I am the champion of this. I invented it. I have a patent. I own it. But this is far bigger than all that. This is another way. Like, think about the cavemen and how they, think about Dr. Seuss. Nothing, you look at Dr. Seuss, you want, right? Like, even the way he says his name.
Right.
So for me, first of all, Summerbell is available to anybody who wants it, regardless of financial situations. Okay. I am running a business, so I have to have money to be able to, have a team. So let me just say that this is a project that is accessible to everybody. It's Hillary at Summerbell.com. It's Summerbell.com. So if you want to email me, it goes directly to my email. I think my cell phone number is even in there, so you could even text me. I want to be accessible. I'm happy to talk to school boards. I've talked to school boards. I'm happy to help integrate it into your classrooms. But what I can say is the most effective thing, and to the parents and the teachers, the Chrome extension is great. You got to cut and paste and all that other kind of stuff, which is, okay. The browser is the ticket. The browser is the ticket. If you go to the App Store, Summerbell is a browser that you purchase on the App Store. Okay. So it's not an app. It's a worldwide browser. So the quickest way to introduce Summerbell to a child or to any person who's interested is get the browser, right? Because it's the easiest access. If you're cool with AI, use it in AI, right? You could have your child reading or your friend reading in Summerbell within 10 minutes of this phone call. That's why I asked my guys to put it on a phone, because everybody has a phone or an iPad or a laptop or something, but it makes it so accessible, right? The fact that we have these softwares. So I would suggest, if you want to have intervention immediately, download the browser and show it to the people who you think will benefit from it. If they like it, if you use it, 20 minutes a day I can guarantee you, if you consistently use it for any period of time, things will get so much better so fast. I mean, if you want to, in my opinion, this is Hillary's opinion, but if you want to close the gap, I say round numbers, 20 minutes a day for 100 days. You could go 20 minutes a day for 30 days, 20 minutes a day for 60 days. Anything with consistency will show improvement. And it actually helped me read linear much, much better. Because if you read the study, please do. The kids were tested in linear. They read in Summerbell, and then they were retested in linear. That's a big deal.
Absolutely.
So, does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
It makes complete sense. So just to confirm, if they want to email you directly, it's Hillary at Summerbell.com.
Yep.
The website is Summerbell.com.
Yep.
And they may even have access to your cell phone number if they go to the website. Yeah,
because you know what? What the heck? Text me, because I don't know, that's a big stretch, but text me, and if it makes sense, I'll call you back, text you back.
Absolutely.
And schools, yes. Superintendents, yes. Teachers, tutors. But the main thing is there's nothing wrong. I don't believe Summerbell is like putting on glasses. We meet you where you are. There's nothing wrong with you. We're here to come to you. And that's really the main thing. No drama, no fancy tutors, no big expensive private schools, fancy tutors, nothing. This is an at-home thing. I mean, the financials should not be a barrier to access. And that's my main thing about this project.
I couldn't agree more. Hillary Summerbell, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your powerful story, and thank you for your contribution to education.
Oh, thank you. And I'm happy to share again if you ever have another spot where you want to sink into one particular subject. But I really appreciate the effort. Thank you for inviting me to your show. Thank you.